Good morning, and welcome to the inaugural edition of Coffee Cup Stories. Over the next 60, 70, 80 episodes, I'll be talking about the coffee cups that I have and the stories behind them. Sitting on top of the cupboards are 66 coffee cups there in my kitchen. Over the years, whenever I had a job or whenever I went on a mission trip or took a vacation or just took an interesting TDY, that's temporary duty for those of you who don't know what government travel is. We don't go on business trips, we go on temporary duty, TDY. Whenever I went on one of these things, I would buy a coffee cup. And that way I thought I could remember all the interesting things that happened. Turned out that most of them were not interesting. But I got the cups anyway, and we will talk about what happened by popular request from the kids who would like to know what it is that I've been doing with my life. Now, in addition to the 66 cups that made it onto the tops of the cupboards, I ran out of room and I had to shove a lot of them just here in the cupboard itself. We'll dredge those out and we'll talk about them too. We will see what happens. Now, the general idea is that I'll take just a few minutes every so often, and I'll talk about what the coffee cups are and what happened. I'll describe the coffee cup. I'll tell you where I was and what I was doing. And if there's a story behind the coffee cup, we'll cover that too. So here we go with the very first one. This is the, again by popular request, first coffee cup. Crabby till I get my coffee. Dauphin Island, Alabama. So in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had some friends who we would go camping with, and we went to Orange Beach, Alabama. And on this particular trip, would have been about around 2000. I know it was July the 5th when this happened. Probably 2000, maybe 2001. We were staying in some houses on Orange Beach. And so one day we loaded up all the kids and we trotted ourselves to Fort Morgan or Fort Gaines, whichever one it is that's on the Orange Beach side. Toured the fort, and then we got on the ferry from the east side to the west side. So we got on this ferry and everybody enjoyed it very much. You could look down and see these gigantic jellyfish as you went by. So we got to the Dauphin Island side and we debarked, and we were really hungry because it was lunchtime, kind of past lunchtime. So we saw a little park. I said, hey, let's go eat lunch there. So we're walking down. They had a little boardwalk from the ferry landing over to this little park. So we're walking down the boardwalk, and I'm pulling the cooler with all the lunch in it, when all of a sudden the other men in the group, Jack, come here. Yeah, what? Hey, right over there, there's a guy. He's either sick or dead or something. You need to go check it out. Well, why do I have to go check it out? Well, anyway, so I had to go check it out. So I went over. He was off the boardwalk a good 10 yards or so, kind of back in this little area, some trees around it. It was a little hard to see him from the boardwalk. And he was still cross-legged, but he was laid back just like this, flat out on his back. And so I started walking up to him, and you don't ever just walk up and touch somebody in case they're asleep. So I start talking to him, yelling at him, "Hey, hey, okay? You all right? You all right? You need help?" Well, he didn't respond. But as I walked toward him, I saw that there were ants already crawling up and down his arms. They were already working on him, so I knew he was dead. But when I walked up to him, I figured, as the old joke goes, let's make sure he's dead. So I went to take his pulse, but his skin was already cold and hard. There was no pulse. He'd been dead for hours. And it was immediately obvious what had happened, because there was a small pistol laying next to him. He had sat down and put the pistol right behind his ear and shot himself right behind his ear. And the pistol had fallen then. As he fell back, the pistol fell down by his side. So there were, because it was a .22, his head was still intact. There was just dried blood and brain matter coming out of the hole here. His eyes were all bruised from the trauma inside the brain. It was a pretty bad sight. Anyway, so we called the cops. The cops came over. I sat down, made my statement, and they took him away. And at first I couldn't figure out how no one had reported this, a gunshot in a park. Then I realized it was July the 5th. The day before was July the 4th. He could have machined the gun to the post office. Nobody would have noticed because of all the fireworks. So anyway, we continued our day, and we did our thing and went back to the east side and continued to have a really, really nice vacation, although our Dauphin Island portion was a little bit rough. Have a great day. This next version of Coffee Cup Stories will be up soon.